A dark mass of sorrow and darkness is how the town's described. But you could also describe Paul's life as such. I chose this passage because it sums up the entire book. The reading was dark and sorrow, and sometimes it had happy endings, but most of the time it was dark and sorrow. The name of the book that I chose this semester is Sons and Lovers, author D.H. Lawrence, and the genre of the book, I would say, would be the early 19th centuries. During the Industrial Revolution, where you had a lot of factories and coal mining, and this town was actually a coal miners' town. Small coal miners' town located in Nottingham. The characters of the story are going to be Walter Morrell, Gertrude Morrell, William, Paul, Annie, Arthur Morrell, Miriam, Baxter, Mr. Jordan, and other co-workers. For me, the plot was kind of like a constant struggle with love, or I would say lack thereof. I would also say the plot would be an unhealthy relationship between a mother and her sons. The constant struggle with love or lack thereof. The mother struggled with love for her husband, but she loved her kids undiredly, especially her sons. Mr. Morrell's struggle would have to be with drinking a lot excessively. He's working. He constantly worked. And the family. He basically treated his family as if they were nothing. And when they in turn treated him that way, he often felt upset or sad, I would say, because he wasn't getting a loving relationship from his family and kids when he didn't treat them in a nice manner. So I don't know why he would expect that in return. William, his struggle was with love also. Is as if he was with his fiance, but he hated her at the same time, which was very odd. Then you have Paul, who is not the favorite at the beginning of the novel. He turned out to become the favorite at the end. Well, the second half, I'm sorry. Because the first half basically talks about the beginning of Miss Morrell and Mr. Morrell's marriage and how volatile it was. Like, he was a heavy drinker. He worked a lot. And when he came home, he often took those problems out on his family, being abusive to them. And so you will see that a lot in the first chapter. And you also will see, as the kids are growing up, William was an adult. He became very well off for himself. He ended up moving to London, and he met a woman, and he engaged her. But you would continuously hear him say throughout the story in the beginning that he loved her, but he hated her. And that would be how you would hear the mother describe her relationship with her husband. Like, in the beginning, she had a love for him, but she grew to hate him right off early in the beginning of the marriage. Then you have Paul, who is, like I said, he's torn between the love for his mother, which is undiredly, the love that he has for Miriam, but he shows it in a way that is very strange. Like, he actually doesn't really like her, but he loves her. The love that he has for Clara, and I think that love was because he found someone that was different from what he was used to. And Clara was definitely different from him, being that she was a married woman. And then you have Baxter, which is Clara's husband, which in the end, after they almost killed each other, Baxter and Paul, they became friends, and you have to read the story. I'm not going to give it away. But you'll find it odd that they became friends at the end of all of it, because they were rivals. Like, they hated each other over Clara. And it almost seems it served some characters in their lives and their relationships. The book is basically about love, like I said, and lack thereof. Like, how much do you love a person? Where do you love a person more than yourself? Will it be difficult to love someone? And you will find in this book that it definitely was difficult for Paul to love anybody, because he loved his mother so much. That's it on the plot. I would say I did write down a few things, and I'll go over what I wrote. I would say struggle to love his mother and have a successful relationship with other women was Paul. What themes are developed: family, emotional, turmoil, lots of turmoil, love, hate, grief, sorrow, darkness are all some of the themes of this book. They're all very interesting, if you ask me. You'll find the father. What did you learn? The mother learns she hates her husband, but she loves her kids. A family that despises the husband. Walker doesn't seem to care. He just drinks his life away. Paul learns he can never love anyone more than the way he loved his mother, which is weird, but I guess, everybody to each their own. In conclusion, I would say this is a really good book overall. I think it was a really good book. In the beginning, I thought it started off a little slow. I was a little bit hesitant to buy it. I'm not going to give the ending away. The ending is going to be very shocking, because you're going to be like, the way Paul carried on throughout the book about how he loved his mother and how much affection he had for her, to see the ending was a shocker for me. So I definitely think you should read the book because of that, because you're going to be shocked by the ending. You're going to be quite amazed by the ending. It's very good. If, like I said, it was a shocker because I didn't expect what happened to happen. So I'm going to say, in conclusion, in the beginning of the book, it started off a little slow, but I was able to gain interest as I read on. The story of how the mother loved her son and was jealous of any relationship they would be in reminded me of a past relationship that I had. And it made the story relatable and made me become more interested to see what events that would transpire later on in the readings. This mother was very overbearing, but the love she had for her sons would cause them to have not so good relationships in their personal life, especially Paul and William alike. Both of those boys, like I said, William hated his fiance, but he loved her and he wouldn't leave her. Paul was torn between two women. He had love for Miriam, but the way he showed it to her was almost like he pushed her away. He never allowed her to love him. And Clara, he allowed her to love him, but she felt he didn't allow her to love him. And that kept her guarded. And he didn't like that she was guarded. But he also didn't like for a woman to run up behind him, because he said that Miriam was running up behind him and she didn't show any hardness towards him. And Clara did, but he despised her for that. And then you go back to the mother and the father relationship, where the mother despised her husband. Shortly after she married him, it repeats over and over that she hated him. So it was almost as if the way she cared for her husband and hated her husband reflected on the relationship that her children ended up having with their spouses later in life. So it just goes to show you have to be careful how you act around your children, because they absorb everything you put out in this world. If you putting out negativity and volatility, they learn it, and they pretty much will have those type of relationships as they grow older. So this book is definitely a page turner. I recommend that you read it, because I was totally shocked by it. I thought that it was going to be about a mother just having inappropriate relationship with her son, sexual, but it was more of a relatable book for me, because you'll know a lot of men that are per se mama's boys, and that's exactly what Paul was. He was a mama's boy to the death of him. So definitely a good reader, good page turner. Like I said, it did start off slow, but it was worth the read, and I would recommend it. I also say if you are a person who likes drama, this is definitely a good book for you. It has a lot of drama in it and a lot of ups and downs. So I would definitely recommend that to anyone who was interested in a good read, who might like a little drama in their reading. I would definitely recommend this book. Thanks again, guys.